What's going on, guys? It's your boy Tiki2 here, back again here on PlayStation Source, and you read the title, you know the news already. So here is that PlayStation will not be at E3 2020 this year, and here's why it doesn't matter. And yes, y'all, I know, I'm aware that a lot of big things happened in terms of game delays today, right? Final Fantasy VII and Marvel's Avengers by Square Enix and by Crystal Dynamics. I know that, but we will be saving that here on the channel to talk about on tonight when we record the premiere of Save Slot Podcast. So check out for my thoughts on that tomorrow. But check out also my Twitter if you want some other thoughts on the delays. But expect content from that tomorrow when we premiere Save Slot Podcast episode 1 with, of course, Tajay and the homies at Gaming Speak Podcast. And so get hyped for that, and let's get right to the video. So this all started out yesterday morning when there were rumors spreading around that Sony would have something to say about their presence or lack thereof at E3 2020. And so many were automatically jumping to, of course, what I initially thought was that they would follow suit from last year's E3 attendance and just not come for 2020, because for 2019 they skipped that. You know, I feel like that kind of, is what started their whole waning and wanting to separate from E3 2020 or just E3 in general as a whole. And so I assumed, like a lot of other people, that they would not return to E3 after being absent from 2019's conference. And so we were just waiting on the confirmation. I went to work, I come back, we get the whole thing all detailed, quotes and everything, and we're gonna go through it all layer by layer to discuss it with everyone here. So the news broke via gamesindustry.biz, and that's where they officially stated, and I don't know if it was PR people talking because there wasn't anyone that was connected to the quotes, but I think it was just like PlayStation PR, the big over-encompassing voice of PlayStation at the PR department, kind of gave us these quotes for their reasoning as to why they are skipping E3 2020. And so let's go over these quotes and hear exactly what their reasoning is. And so they say here, first off, that, quote, after thorough evaluation, Sony Interactive Entertainment has decided not to participate in E3 2020. We have great respect for ESA as an organization, but we do not feel the vision of E3 2020 is the right venue for what we are focused on this year. And so I think it's really interesting how they talked about the ESA's vision of E3, and as you all are probably well aware, and if you're not, back in September, they actually did announce them being, of course, the ESA, announced that they will be changing E3 2020 in a lot of different ways. And so one of them, of course, was being that they wanted to be more of a fan, media, influencer festival rather than an industry event that it typically has been in the past and stuff like that. And so they are putting more emphasis on the fans, on the media, on different internet influencers, which is cool, but it does kind of detract and has the focus more so on them rather than the actual companies and the actual brands that are coming to E3 to show off their new stuff and things like that. And so they also said that they got the approval for having an additional 10,000 members of the public being able to attend E3 in 2020. And so it looks like there's going to be more of just the regular public, more of the fans, more of you and me, which is cool, but it does still detract from the overall focus that E3 used to have. And they're kind of, I guess they're trying to have E3 be a living, breathing thing that changes throughout the times and is able to bend to adapt to how they see fit. And Sony just looks like they aren't really with that vision, so they are not coming this year. But in the gamesindustry.biz article, they did go on to say that, quote, we will build upon our global event strategy in 2020 by participating in hundreds of consumer events across the globe. Our focus is on making sure fans feel part of the PlayStation family and have access to play their favorite content. We have a fantastic lineup of titles coming to PlayStation 4, and with the upcoming launch of PlayStation 5, we are truly looking forward to a year of celebration with our fans. And that was pretty much all that was said by PlayStation about this whole topic for E3 2020, and to me, honestly, it makes perfect sense why PlayStation won't be at E3 2020. I know a lot of people disagree, but hear me out. If you have other thoughts, let me know down in the comment section. Keep it civil, people. Keep it, keep it nice. Let's not throw insults. We're just talking about games here, okay? It's all good, you know what I'm saying? But to me, honestly, it makes perfect sense why they won't be at E3 2020. Is because, others have followed suit as well, including EA and Nintendo. And while yes, even though they do hold their own separate conferences during E3, and by during I mean like not at E3 but around E3. So for example, EA Play happens right before E3 as opposed to Nintendo, where they kind of are the last ones to show anything at their Treehouse events and their directs that they do around E3, but it's towards the end of the conferences and stuff like that. So even though they are separate from E3, they still kind of take and borrow from E3 in terms of the attention that E3 garners around the overall community, because a lot of people obviously watch E3, they have a lot of eyes on E3 and stuff like that, and they kind of get lumped in by being so close in proximity to them that they utilize the eyes looking at E3 and looking at the game media, while of course being separate from E3 and not being able to pay for their own conference, pay to be at the convention, pay the ESA, etc. So why wouldn't you as a major game company hold your own event where they don't have to compete with other companies and be able to control the narrative of what they are trying to announce, as well as pay considerably less, I'm assuming, for attending E3? Because I gotta assume that, going to E3 and booking a venue and stuff like that and booking a floor space, it has to, I assume, be pretty pricey overall. You know what I'm saying? Like, I assume that's not free and everything. And so why not be able to have something at your own, accord, then have it at your own place, etc., and be able to control the narrative and control, if you have a shorter show this year, you can make it shorter. You don't have to make it, this length of E3. You don't have to do anything crazy. I mean, to me, it just makes a lot of sense. And I think a lot of that, has gone to the shift of having the internet be so, out there in terms of game media. You know what I'm saying? How we use it day to day for the gaming news. It's not like, it's no longer the days of these publications or newspapers and stuff like that. Like we're far beyond that point. And the internet has allowed us to be able to have these companies announce big things and for the masses to hear about it. You know what I'm saying? Like in terms of Nintendo Directs and PlayStation's exact, answer to that era changingness is of course State of Play. And I'm completely fine with PlayStation not being there because we have State of Play, and I firmly think that State of Play announcements in the future will get as much, if not more, hype than Nintendo Directs do today. Let's not front here, okay? Nintendo Directs get so many people hyped, and people are ready for Directs. When they hear a Nintendo Direct is coming up later in the week, or next week or whatever, people get hyped. People start talking about, okay, what could possibly be at this event? What could be at this Direct? What could they be showing? What haven't they talked about? It becomes a whole entire discussion, and I firmly believe that while we've only had 3 or 4 State of Plays, I feel like it's in its infancy. Like, it is going to grow and people are going to get as hyped as they do with Directs for State of Plays in the future. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, for me personally, just speaking, I have loved the format of State of Play. I think that it is a very, very concise overall way for them to portray big news things and have them own a day in the news cycle that could be random. Like they don't have to compete with E3 no longer. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have to bring out the big guns at this one specific event. They can carve out a random Tuesday or a random Thursday and own that day, and everyone is talking about them, as opposed to people talking about E3 as a whole and what everyone else is showing as well. And I think honestly a lot of other companies are going to start following suit, from the likes of Nintendo and EA and now Sony, of all of them leaving E3. And I think a lot of people and a lot of other companies will start to leave E3 as well, because E3 just isn't what it used to be, and it no longer fulfills a role as efficiently and as effectively. You know what I'm saying? Because back in the day, E3 used to be a place where vendors would go to know more about what they are selling for the next year at their different stores towards the holiday season. But now E3 is turning into another fan event, just like PAX, which again isn't a bad thing, but I interpret PlayStation's absence as a way of showing them that they can fulfill what E3 used to provide for them in other effective ways that are more cost efficient. And so, for example, I feel like Sony overall is substituting their attendance at E3, while instead they are going to go to multiple, maybe a little bit smaller, global worldwide gaming events that they said here in the press release, that they will be doing a more worldwide focus on them being at different events and stuff like that across the world, as opposed to just focusing, during the summer months on this E3 only in North America. While, of course, E3 is a worldwide event, a lot of people watch E3, obviously, to be fair, but I feel like PlayStation, doesn't really have to double down and show up at E3 because they have things like State of Play, because they have the overall, well, not overall like everyone, but the overwhelming majority of, if you are a gamer in North America, you probably have a Twitter, you've probably seen a State of Play, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like there are these people that only watch E3 and that's the only gaming media that they get throughout the year. Maybe a few people exist like that, but I feel like that does not speak to the overall general public. I feel like, Sony has a good grasp of the North American market via things like State of Play, via things like their Twitter, their blog posts and stuff like that, and they can reach those fans just like that, and they don't need E3 to be able to do that, and why not be able to reach the global market, and not focusing on the North American market that they were so confident in that they even sold PS4s to them first in front of every other country in the world, right? Of course, there are reasons for that in terms of manufacturing, and they thought that there was going to be a very, very high demand in Japan, and so they didn't feel like they could properly service the entire world in a worldwide release from their means of being able to produce X amount of PS4s. I understand that, but I also feel like that definitely does show that they don't have like a lack of confidence in the North American market. They are strong in that market as well, and they don't need E3 to be even stronger or keep that strongness in that market. And look, let me just be the first here to say I love E3, right? I think E3 honestly is if not my favorite time of the year in terms of games. Like, I love the hype around E3, right? I love the conferences, and of course, with PlayStation not being at E3 anymore, or at least for 2020 and 2019. We don't know about 2021, to be fair, but I feel like 2 years in a row, they're probably never going to come back. You know what I'm saying? They're going to hold their own events, their own State of Plays, stuff like that. But beside the point, we do miss out on having iconic E3 moments like 2013, where they showed off the Boxer PS4, as well as did the iconic jabs between Microsoft in terms of DRM and sharing games and the price of the console as well. But I think a tweet that overall put everything and my thoughts in a nice little bow was from the homie Trevor Starkey. He, of course, is I think founder, I'm pretty sure, of that nerdy site. Make sure to go check him out. I'll leave his Twitter down below. He's a great follow on Twitter. Definitely really cool guy, insightful thoughts. Kind of funny best friend as well, so shout out to him. But, I'll leave his Twitter down below in the description. But he perfectly, encapsulated my thoughts on this. And it's that the Switch was announced and launched outside of the bounds of E3. They didn't need a press conference to sell, the Switch. They didn't need anything like that. They didn't utilize E3 at all for selling and announcing and launching the Switch, and they did it outside the bounds of E3. So PlayStation, I feel like, obviously has its eyes on kind of iterating and kind of, in a way, following suit of Nintendo's ways in this way of that they don't need E3 to sell a console. So to me, I'm personally completely fine with PlayStation not being at E3, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you want them at E3, and why? If you don't, why do you think that doesn't matter? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And make sure also, while you are down there, to check out our description where you can find our links to our Twitter, our Discord, as well as our Anchor link to listen to all of our podcast shows in podcast format. That being, of course, Save Slot Podcast, which premieres tomorrow. Look out for that, as well as Road to Part 2 and Road to Dreams, which are upcoming shows here that I will be hopefully recording this week if I can get time to do that. And definitely Road to Dreams is coming out this week, but Road to Part 2, we'll see, hopefully. And that's all I got. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like on the video, so stay subscribed to PlayStation Source to keep up with the latest and greatest in PlayStation. Thank you for watching, and as always, greatness awaits.